If you think the E-Naira will be the solution to the Naira predicament, you are absolutely wrong. And this is with all due respect to those at the corridors of power and decision. Welcome to Monday Money Moves. I'm Michael Abayomi, also known as Spring Boss, and of course, I am the Group Managing Director, CEO, Asset and Equity Group, a foremost and a leading investment banking institution in the heart of Lagos Island and Victoria Island, Nigeria, West Africa, and of course, in other major cities of the world. Our topic of discourse for this week's episode of your favorite finance blog will be E-Naira, also known as the Central Bank Digital Currency, that is the CBDC. The digital currency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, issued, managed, and distributed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Please hit the subscribe button on your screen to continue to enjoy unhindered access to our videos, as well as help us reach more people. To start with, digital currency is not cryptocurrency. Let's be clear about that. Although they have some similarities in the sense that they are both virtual currencies and are transmitted electronically. I referred to this in one of my previous videos as the invisibility nature of money, which in fact is the new money as we know today. Unlike crypto, which is decentralized, a digital currency is a centralized currency. That is, it is mostly issued and controlled by a centralized authority, which in this case of the E-Naira is the Central Bank of Nigeria, that is the CBN. Without deceiving each other, the E-Naira is still the Naira, okay? But just in a digital form. That is, it is the Naira that you cannot see, that you cannot touch, that you can't squeeze or even spray at the Nigerian parties, okay? From the Bahamas to St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia and Grenada, all of these countries have already started their own digital currency. But what do all these countries have in common? They all have less than 1 million people. That's one. Two, they all have less than 3% of Nigeria's GDP size. Number three, they are all mostly tourist locations. And number four, they all offer their citizenship through investment. Then number five, they all have overseas influence. That is, they more or less stand as being territories of bigger countries, okay? So there's hardly any existing correlation between Nigeria and all these countries. A foreign exchange problem anywhere in the world is not a standalone problem, but a reflection of an economic crisis. And that is where we are getting it wrong in Nigeria. If the economy works, foreign exchange will fix itself. It's as simple as that. And for some reasonable level of objectivity, I will quickly look at the global figures relating to the use of cryptocurrencies, generally. Nigeria's adoption ranks number 1 in the world right now at 32%, Vietnam 21%, followed by Philippines, Peru, Switzerland, India, China, United States of America, Germany, and Japan on a serial list. Cryptocurrencies have unifying reasons for this high rate of adoption across all these countries. And that is, number 1, zero disclosure. Number 2, zero restriction. And number 3, zero regulation. Now, coincidentally, these 3 drivers of crypto, or let's say 3 enablers of the global adoption of crypto, are the exact same enablers of the black market, or if you like, we call it the parallel market, whether locally or globally. And this is the real truth. And of course, the 3 fundamental pillars that promote and encourage crypto and black market patronage. After all, the 1803 economist, the classical one, John Baptist Say, states that supply will always create its own demand. That is, if supply is made available, then demand will find its way to it. Generally speaking, when there is a problem, The normal response by normal people is to find the root cause and treat from there. But Nigeria is a peculiar nation. I'm a Nigerian and I live in Nigeria, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. I believe some of the major reasons behind the creation of the E-Naira, otherwise called the CBDC by the Central Bank of Nigeria, is to, among other things, one, to reduce the cost or all costs associated with minting and printing of money by about 90%. And of course, to also avoid all this risk associated with transportation of money here and there, I mean, up to storage, distribution, and then collection and replacement of damaged currency notes. And I totally agree with this because it will actually save cost, truly. But for the E-Naira to be considered a success, it must satisfy some other conditions, which I think, in my opinion, will be, number one, it must be an alternative to Nigerians who are already well invested into crypto and are already using it as a means of transactions. And you know, E-Naira must now be like a remedy to that problem that has already been signaled by that very high adoption and usage of crypto by Nigerians. Number two is that it must ease pressure on the PTA, BTA by creating wallets for users that can be accessed from anywhere in the world. I totally feel if the E-Naira can sort out or can settle these issues, then maybe the E-Naira will be a success. But then, is it possible? That's the big question. The billion-dollar question is it possible for the E-Naira to settle this crisis, or is it possible, is the E-Naira capable of resolving these key issues? So let's quickly look at what the original definition and principle of money posits as to the functions of money. You know, money basically has four functions. So the number one function of any reliable or any responsible money is to serve as a medium of exchange. And then that simply means you must be able to use that money for purchasing goods and services, for settlement of payment for goods and services. So number two, it must be able to serve as a unit of account. That is, it must have the capacity to be used as a measurement of value, kind of. And then number three is it must be able to serve as a store of value. And number four will be that it must be a standard for deferred payment. So objectively, the E-Naira, in my opinion, can satisfy only one of the four functions of money, and that is just the unit of account purposes. However, it may struggle to serve as a proper medium of exchange. You know, the point is the E-Naira will be limited in the sense that it will only be exchangeable locally, just like every normal physical currency and just like the normal Nigerian Naira that we already know, you know. But internationally, it will require that we have something like a digital version of the dollar, because internationally, most transactions are dollar based. Okay, so without having a digital dollar, it will be difficult for Naira to trade internationally across borders. So number two is the store of value function, which I think the E-Naira will struggle at. So why did I say this? Naira, as we speak, is on a free fall, and Nigerians are not oblivion of this, and so reactions are being felt all over the place. The US dollar in Nigeria today is no longer a means of exchange for goods and services, but then it has become the good itself, and people are scrambling to buy it. So it's more than clear that no one sees Naira as a store of value anymore. Number three, standard of deferred payment. This is where I think the E-Naira will struggle the most, because it talks directly to settlement of debt obligations and other related obligations. If you lend someone 100 million Naira in January 2021 with dollar at the rate of 398 at the time, that would probably be about $250,000. But today, if you get that same money back at the rate of 560 Naira to a dollar, that comes to about $178,000 today. That would be a capital loss of about 30%. So without mincing words, the E-Naira is still Naira, and there is really no magic to expect, especially because it will require disclosure And of course, it will come with some degree of restrictions and regulation, which will keep people stuck to crypto. So people got into crypto for those three key reasons, because there is zero regulation, there's zero restriction, and zero identification process. That is, you could be in crypto and nobody knows who you are. You could pay other people. They don't have to know exactly who is paying. You just have to communicate and settle whatever you need to settle. The challenge with the E-Naira is it will require some level of disclosure from users. There's this usual KYC process that is required of banks, and I think the CBN will still require this at the very minimal level. Maybe your phone number or your national identity details will be required to get on board, okay? So it's really not going to come up with any magic that is going to change any form of dynamics within the financial services space. But what I foresee is it might even disrupt the banking system and further make the CBN look like another kind of giant competitor coming into the banking space. And that will be all for this episode of your favorite finance blog, the Monday Money Moves. So guys, the next will be top news. So guys, welcome to the top news session of your favorite finance blog, the Monday Money Moves. Our top news for this week is from China. Digital yuan goes head-to-head with Alipay, WeChat in Beijing. So what exactly does this mean? This means and points straight to the fact that the China digital currency is also a payment system. And I take that again, the Chinese digital currency called the digital yuan is also a payment system. And I've been talking about digital currency, cryptocurrencies being a digital means of payment. They are actually glorified payment systems, that have now more or less transformed into issuing tokens that have now become means of payment, that have now started to look like currency themselves. They are actually not currencies but payment systems. So I believe that the Chinese government has been able to crack that code and more or less have it as an infusion of a digital currency and a payment system. And that's why it can go head-to-head in competition with the likes of Alipay and WeChat. These are the biggest payment systems in China today. And this also takes me to the assertion I made in the body of the video earlier on, that you see the CBDC, that is the central bank digital currency, that is the Nigerian E-Naira, is going to even come as an head-to-head competition with payment systems that are already existing within the Nigerian financial system, and then also the financial services provider, which are the banks majorly. So the banks will have to up their game, more or less improve in their digital arm of their business. They must by necessity ensure that they are at par or even better than whatever service the E-Naira brings to the table. So I believe the E-Naira as it is will definitely serve as Nigeria's digital currency. That is a digital form of the Naira as we all know it, but then it will also serve as a payment system. And that's why we see CBN talking in the direction of creating wallets for users. And of course, we all know that we also come with some restrictions as to more or less align with some of the directions or some of the guidelines that have already been given to the existing players within that space. But then I said it will come as a competition with the banks and also with the payment service banks that are already existing within that space, that are offering that services already. And I like to also mention that Nigeria digital currency is not going to more or less be a very new thing, because most of our banks are already, running cashless to a very large extent, and we already have electronic means of payment. If I want to transfer 10 million from my account to your account, I don't have to take cash. Okay, I really don't have to take cash of 10 million to go and pay into your bank. I transfer from my bank to you. It's all digital. It's electronic means of payment. So what will happen from now is the platforms on which all these electronic payments are made will now be different. It will now be made on that CBDC platform. That is, if you want to move money from me to you, if you want to move money from you to me, it will now be a bit, or maybe a bit more convenient for you to use the CBDC platform. It's also more or less like a digital, or let's say an electronic means of payment. So basically, this whole phase about digital currency is really nothing extremely new or nothing entirely new. We already practice electronic banking. You already do transfers digitally from your bank to other people's bank accounts. So it's really nothing new. It's just going to be another platform on which all those things will happen. So I bring this to a close by telling you that digital currency is actually nothing new. We have over 1,001 digital currencies existing in this world currently as we speak. So that will be all for the top news session of your favorite finance blog, the Monday Money Moves. Next will be Quote of the Week. Welcome to the Quote of the Week session of your favorite finance blog. Our quote for this week is simple. Foreign exchange problem anywhere in the world is not a standalone problem, but a reflection of a whole economic crisis. So what does this mean? This is simply telling you that foreign exchange figures do not come up in isolation. No country's foreign exchange just pops up, or it's not like something that anyone just fixes. It's a result of market movement. It's a result of movement of goods and services. So it is a daring representation and a very true reflection of what is happening within the economy. They are not figures that are just picked randomly out of the blues. They are actually reflecting, they are like the vitals of an economy. So for instance, you go to a hospital to have a checkup. They tell you to check your temperature, check your the blood pressure, check all so these are like the fundamentals of an economy, just like a person. Okay, so if you are doing well as a nation, if your industrialization level is optimal, if it's okay, then your foreign exchange figures will speak good languages that you will really love. So guys, that'll be all for this week's episode of your favorite finance blog, the Monday Money Moves. So next week promises to be as informative and of course, highly entertaining. Thank you.